All right, Rippers, welcome back. We're going to go through with the next step of the PSA dagger project that we're working on, right? The review, that kind of thing, and going over, doing some little upgrades on it, whatnot like that. Next, right now, is taking and replacing these. So these are suppressor height sights, which are great. They're just blacked out. They're not night sights. So we need night sights on this. So that's what we're going to do. Now, a few things you're going to need ahead of time is, one, you're going to need a Glock tool. Now, I thought I had one, but I guess I didn't, so I had to go down to my local store and get me a Glock tool right there. As you can see, it's a 4-in-1 Glock tool. And what's cool about that, you just really need it for that Glock front sight, but the front sight tool itself was almost as much as this one. Plus, this one's kind of cool because you can, woo, like that, right? Has little flip outs. But this one not only has the front sight tool, but it has a pin punch, right, for pushing all the pins through if you're working on a trigger, changing out a trigger, that kind of thing right there. You can use that. So it's a good thing to have in your kit with you that you carry along. It's also got a hex head on there, but that fits only Glock, so it won't fit the PSA one because they use a bigger screw, which is better anyway, and a flathead for working on things like springs and things in there to get stuff to line up, right? It's kind of nice. So it's a neat little tool, but for this, all we're going to need is that front sight tool. And what's good about that is it's magnet, so it sticks in there because it has a very thin head and a very small screw in a very tight place. So this is really going to help out, really going to help out. So need one of those. It wouldn't hurt if you had yourself a set of punches, but have yourself a good punch like this. I like a fatter one like this for doing what we're going to do. So we got that punch. Need a little hammer, right? Don't need a big hammer. Block of wood. I like to put some blue tape on there to keep marring from happening. Not that this wood, this is pretty soft wood, but you know, it's always good just to be an extra careful, right? Now, you could get yourself, you can see right here that I've already got it partially drifted off with a punch. You can also get a drift tool that clamps onto the back of your slide. I don't have one of those. However, you know, I might pick one up someday so I can show you guys. You know, when the funds are there. But for right now, since I have my drift punches in there and I've done a lot of this kind of stuff, I'm just going to use those. Now, the drift tool is nice because you can clamp it on and use it at the range to make precise movements by pushing this back and forth. Because one of the positives I've seen about this PSA dagger is that the dovetail is actually a tight fit dovetail. It took me a bit to get this drifted out, and it should, right? A lot of these companies are getting lazy and just having them slide in there real easy and just counting on just the set screw. And that is something that can get hot and come loose through vibrations and whatnot and fail on you, and you end up looking through your sights one time and your sight's gone, right? I've had that happen. So I like to see that. I like to see that they, you know, took the time to get their tolerances tight so that we have to drift that in a little bit. I just have it partially drifted out, or most of the way drifted out, because I didn't want you to sit here and watch me drift that out, because it was in there pretty darn good, which is awesome. So that being said, let's go ahead. Oh, and I got this is just my Harbor Freight. I've shown you guys these before because you get a set of 3 with all your different metric, all that good stuff, and star heads and that kind of thing. And I was able to find one that fit the PSA screw head. Now, this is a PSA screw head on this as well, on this site, but they stripped it out in the factory, so I kind of had to do it diagonally just to get it out, and it wasn't Loctited, nor was it tight because, well, they stripped it out by trying to tighten it too tight. So that's one of the things you want to watch out for. Never muscle anything. Just use a little Loctite, put it in there, and give it time to dry. Honestly, their dovetail was tight enough. They probably didn't need that set screw anyway, but it's nice that it's there as a backup. So treat it that way, right? Okay, so, of course, we're going to check, make sure our firearm is unloaded. There it is, clean chamber right there. You can see all the way through there, no magazine in it, right? All right, got it, chamber check there. Now we're ready to take this thing down, right? So what you want to do is just, I always like grabbing it like this so I can just move it backwards a little bit, pull these two levers here downwards and slide it forward. I re-engaged the trigger. So there you go. Slide it forward, off it comes. Now you can just take your lower and set it aside, or your frame and set it aside. Now I would go ahead and take off the spring just by pushing down and lifting up. That's your recoil spring right there. And I would go ahead and take the barrel nut off if you have a suppressor threaded barrel, and I would go ahead and take that barrel out just like that. You just slide it forward, pull it up, pull it back out, right? Because you don't need all that in there. Now, this gives you a nice, and that's the reason for this, is it lifts it off your table so you don't damage your table, and so you get a nice, solid, firm, something that you can hold on to. And what you're going to do, so you can see right here, I'll show you. See right there? I got it partially drifted. Well, we're just going to go ahead and finish drifting that, and it'll probably just come right out. But what you do is you kind of just set your hand on it, hold it nice and firm on that square surface, put your finger here on that to hold it against the dovetail, and that finger also touches the sight itself, and then you just take and just one whack at a time. And as you can see, that came off easy. You'll be sitting here going whack, whack. But each time, reset up, take your time, get one whack, one whack, one whack until you get it drifted off, okay? And that's the way to do it, to where you don't have to go out and buy yourself an expensive sight tool. But just take it slow, take it easy, get re-squared up so everything's squared up and you don't slip off and scratch something. Now, you can put a piece of tape over this, just like this if you wanted. And that's what I'd recommend doing. And that way, when it's back on there, as you can see, you can just take and put it on top of that piece of tape and drive that sight off, right? So that gets the rear sight off. Now, for the front sight, you're going to see right in here, let's see if I can show you, right inside there, right there is a little screw head, and it's so tiny you can't even hardly see it. But what you're going to do is you take this and you put it right on top of that screw head, hold that front sight like that. See how we're in there like that? See that? Right? And you want to hold it nice and flat on that and just back it off. Now, if it comes off easy, that's a good thing. If it gets any resistance, don't strip it out. Just take yourself, get either a torch or even just one of your barbecue lighters and just heat it up a little bit from the inside. In here, put a little heat to it right there, right? Right there, put your lighter up in there, one of them long skinny ones, and just heat that up for a little bit, not a lot, just enough to get that Loctite to loosen up, right? So we're going to go ahead and take this off, and you're going to see here what I meant about this being a tiny, look at that. That's the tiny little screw, and look at how thin the head is on it so that it can work. See how thin that is? And that's why you need that little magnet and that special tool. So, as you can see, we've got our front side off. Now, I always like to take things and put them back into what they came from so I can keep them set aside, because you never know, I may come across another firearm that I want to put these sights on, right? Another either Glock or a clone of some sort, dagger, whatever. So put that back on there. Now we're all set up, right? We got those two. Now let's see what PSA sent us. Well, one, they're always good about giving you stickers. Palmetto State Armory, man, they really do build some kick-ass stuff for inexpensive price. And then we have our sights. Alright, so we're going to put our old sights into this old bag. Boom, boom, like this. And then we'll get these nice little night sights out. You can see those? They got those little tritium inserts in there that glow in the dark. That's why we're doing it. And this one, as you can see, has its tiny little screw. Look at that. And it's got a nice orange outer rim with a green inner rim, glow in the dark, right? and it doesn't take any charging, no batteries, no nothing. It's just kind of a radioactive, I forget what it's called, tritium, and it just takes a while for it to well, lose its power, something like 10 years, but I have ones that are 10 years old that are still glowing just fine. So I took the little screw out, and I went ahead and I'm going to put it in there. Now what you want to do is you want to put a little dab of Loctite right onto, just a tiny little dab right onto the threads of that right there, right? And then have it sitting here ready. Now I just go ahead and wipe off any kind of oil and whatnot that might be in that hole as best you can, and then go ahead and install this sight. Now first off, you want to see you got your hole there, and you can see that you have a little nub in there that you have to stick that into. That's the technical word, nubbin. And then you're just going to set it right in there, and like that. Look at that, right? That is a great looking sight. Okay, now then you want to hold it with your finger like this, turn her upside down, take your little screw. Now I'm not putting Loctite on it now because I don't have any with me right now. I'm going to do it a little bit later as soon as I get some, but we're not going to the range quite yet. So I wanted to show you guys how to put this together, and you just take it and get it square with the hole, as you can see right there, and just easily, if it's cross threading, don't stop and re-square it up. But if it's going in nice and easy, just go with it in there until you feel it get snug. Now once it gets snug, you want to get it nice and square, get a hold of it, right? And just give it a little, just a little like finger turn, and that's it. That's all you need to do, right? You don't need to get carried away. You can get a torque wrench if you want, but you just need a little like this. You don't need to be reefing on things, right? Okay, so as you can see, we've got our front night sight done already. How easy is that? Now, let's see how easy this rear sight goes. Okay. So, first off, I have my set screw, as you can see right there. See if I can get you, there it is. That set screw right there, I have it backed out. Now you don't have to take it out all the way, just backed out so that it's not sticking down right there, right? And get yourself, wipe that off nice and good, and you can kind of, make sure you got it the right way. You don't want to be like this. Night sights don't do you any good if they're facing the bad guy, right? That's not the way it works. You want them facing you, the good guy, just like that. See how that works? Look how awesome that would be. Oh, well, although that would be terribly off target right there, let me tell you what. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get that in place and start driving it home. So what I want to do is I want to take a little bit of tape on here to protect my surface for right now, and just start tapping it really carefully. And as you can see, it's making its way into place, right? So make sure to watch your tape. If you need to put more on there, you can put more on there, but just hold it firm on your thing, onto the table, and just keep, you don't have to even tap it hard. Just consistently tap it until you get to the part where it's, see, you want it, see how it's going, and it's starting to get flat with the frame, but you don't want to, and you can just nice aimed shots, nice and slow. There we go. Now you're starting to get there where it's flush with the slide, right? So what you want to do is you want to switch up, and I may turn this around so I can keep an eye on it. Let's see here, get some more tape on there. Now I'm not too worried about marring up my stuff because I'm going to be using it, but some people are, and if you're doing work for somebody else, you do want to take some care and make sure you do a nice job for them. So I'm going to place that punch right there where that dovetail is. As you can see, I want to hold on to it like this, and I just want to